I ever dreamt of my mother committing suicide and then I wake up no feeling.
Your mother committing suicide?
I dreamt.
You dreamt, okay.
Yeah.
But you wake up?
No feeling.
Hi everyone, welcome to Open House. Today we have Mr. Shaun Yeo, a former drug addict who's now 4 years sober. He's here to share with us his experience and how he overcame his addiction. Thank you for joining us on Open House today. Hi. And we really appreciate it. Maybe we'll just start straight away, right?
Okay, can.
Could you share your first experience, right, with drugs and how you got addicted at what age?
Okay, the first experience, right, was at a tea dance. My friend offered me ecstasy, but then I actually didn't want to try. So I tell him, I said that if my best friend try, then I try lah. So my best friend said, okay. So we each took half the ecstasy. The sorry part is, right, I actually enjoyed it, but my best friend didn't enjoy it. So my best friend was anti-drugs one.
So he didn't get addicted to it?
He didn't. But I like the feeling. So it started from there.
How old were you?
15.
15 years old. And what are the other drugs that you tried?
Ketamine, aramine, meth.
And how did you get your hands on it? Like, where do you get money for this?
Okay, last time in school, I used to get $50 allowance every week. Last time ecstasy very cheap only. I keep $10 for Friday, $10 for Saturday, just to take drugs. Because I have friends also at the disco, some of them will give me something free, like maybe give me a bit of ketamine free, give me a aramine free, that about.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you do this in school or you wait until
no.
You're always outside?
Yeah.
Now, what was the worst thing you did, right? Like when you were on drugs?
There was once I so-called lost. So I didn't know what I was doing, but when I woke up, right, I was in the lockup cell already.
Oh.
Yeah. The officer actually told me, he said that I wanted to whack one uncle at the coffee shop. So they called police. I still don't want to run. I still sit down there and wait for the police to come. After that, I was brought back to station. After that, back urine all. I was into softer drugs at that point of time. So the urine never kena lah. But then they actually took my statement and all. Then they called somebody to bail me up, which is my cousin. Then she was very angry. Then I got myself into this type of trouble again. I got ever on drugs also. I want to go and rob somebody before. I was with this guy at Geylang. I was not very sober already. So we go around trying to target people's wallet. So we went to this pub. We pretended that we want to drink. He took the person's pouch. Then he passed it to me. And then, of course, my natural instinct to take lah, right? Then I kena caught by one of his friends. But thank God, they let me off.
How old were you?
Quite old, 30 plus.
Oh,
yeah.
30 plus. And they let you off?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I was already not in a very sober mind lah. Because if I'm sober enough, right, I usually don't do such things. Yeah.
So do you often blank out?
No. My tolerance level for drugs quite high, man. Yeah.
So how did your family, like now if we talk about your family life growing up, right? Like you said you like the feeling once you put it in, right? And then your friend didn't like it, right? Do you think it's like maybe because of your family situation growing up? Like what was it like, growing up in your family? I grew up with my aunt.
I was brought up in a very strict family actually.
By your aunt?
Yeah. So last time she was very strict with me. So she always caned me, I go and bathe, then I cry in toilet. Then I said, wow, how come my parents put me here? Then I have to always kena this type of caning and things like that. So from young I already felt different. I didn't have anyone to rely on. The feeling is like that lah.
Like you felt alone.
Yeah. And
then when you're hanging out with your friends who did drugs and all that, then does that give you a sense of like belonging?
Not really. I actually went into all this because yes, I needed a sense of belonging. But the drugs part, I like the feeling. Yeah, a feeling that alcohol cannot give you. Yeah.
Do you, because I think in your TikTok videos you do mention about your mom and stuff like that. Do you hate your mother for leaving? Because from young, she was never really around. What she provided was money. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she gave my aunt money every month. But to her, it's like, I pay money, then I don't need to do anything else. Yeah. So at 11, I think, she remarried. This was something I found out much later. Her husband told her, said that if you want to marry me, right, you cannot acknowledge Shaun because my parents don't know that you are married before. Yeah.
I see.
So from then on, my custody was being thrown around. Like my mother threw to my dad. Then my dad like also busy making money and things like that.
Has she ever tried to contact you or reach out to you?
Over the years, she contact me, then disappear, contact me, then disappear. So every time there is a need to contact me, right? Yeah, it's about money lah, things like that. She will only contact me if there's an agenda. Yeah. Many years ago, when I really had 2 kids, we actually contacted for a very short while. She told me that she got a friend working in Tong Building to service my Rolex. So of course I passed it to her lah. Free servicing. But it didn't come back for a few months leh. How can it be servicing for a few months?
Your watch disappeared.
I think it went to the pawn shop lah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
At the point of time also, I tell myself, hey, every time you come back, contact me, got this sort of agenda. So why you want to so difficult for what? Don't contact better lah.
So when you said that she chose not to acknowledge you, right? For example, like when you were growing up as a teenager, at that time, did you like wonder why you choose this guy over me?
I never asked her, but I think it's money lor. Because that fella quite able to do one. So she can lose 1 million in shares, the fella pay for her in cash leh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So what is your relationship with your dad? Like, I know he's not around anymore.
A bit love-hate relationship.
Also,
He is irresponsible, but I still love him leh. Because he bothers to actually bring me out. I would say he is more present like in my life. He bothers, but also don't bother lah sometimes. He chose money all the time. I don't understand why is that whenever he does a business and things like that, right? He come back with no money.
how come?
I also don't know leh. So the thing is, from young, I always had this impression that my daddy got not enough money. So whenever he want to buy something for me, right, I'll say no. Because I don't want to...
Like, make him spend money. Yeah.
But we were close. But he also... irresponsible lah. But if you ask me, I definitely love him. Yeah. I ever dreamt of my mother committing suicide and then I wake up no feeling leh.
Your mother committing suicide?
I dreamt.
You dreamt, okay. But you wake up?
No feeling. Well, but my father's funeral, I cry until quite badly. Yeah. Because, I don't know, I just have a connection with my dad lor. Even though he's not around, right, he every time, like when I get into trouble and things like that, he will turn up lah.
So like when you're in and out of prison and all that, he's there for you.
Correct.
So now we spoke about your childhood, right? Next is, we know from your videos that you've been to prison a couple of times, and maybe you can tell us how many times have you been, and how did it happen? Like, you were all for drugs or?
On paper, it's 4 times. I actually went in for 3 times only. 1 for rioting, and then 2 for drugs, and then 1 is for the LTA and traffic police fines.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. So 2 for drugs. How long did you serve? Like, for?
First time 1 year. Second time is 18 months, but then I was on tagging for 10 months. Yeah.
Right. And when you were in prison, I think your dad was not well and
Correct.
He was dying, right? So how did you actually deal with it?
Okay, he was in the Philippines at that point of time. So when I kena my first case, he came back to Singapore. He was already unwell, but he didn't get it checked. So when he got it checked, it was already stage 4 colon cancer.
I see.
Yeah. So he knew that his time was limited lah. He lasted for maybe 14 months after I went in.
From the time he found out?
No, time he found out maybe 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
I see.
I think maybe 13 months, right, he stopped visiting me already. So my auntie tell me that his condition not very good, then he's in hospital, things like that. So shortly after that, he passed away already.
Right. And how did you feel like when you were in prison? Because you were like in prison and then he's outside sick and you can't even see.
Of course, I felt sad. But there's nothing I can do. I'm a person that if I cannot do anything about it, then I just...
No regrets.
Yeah.
And could you tell us about the first time you went to prison, right? Like, how old were you?
17.
17. How was that like?
Well, initially, Of course, not used to it. But I already had a prior experience because those going to RTC will have to undergo a RTC suitability report. So I was Queenstown remand for 3 weeks. So if you ask me at that point of time whether it was traumatizing for me, I tell you no. Because I inside I already got friends already. They said, hey, Shaun today coming in already. Then,
It's like a gathering.
Yeah. So I wasn't that bad lah.
Was it difficult for you, like physically and mentally, to be there? Like, what's the worst thing that happened to you in prison?
My skin's quite sensitive. So I got this thing called scabies. It's like a pimple, but then it's filled with pus. You just brush like that, it's pain already. So my whole 2 feet is filled with scabies. Because down there got no toilet. Yeah, so the living environment quite bad. Quite dirty.
You shared a cell with someone? Or?
Yeah, 5 other people. Can't remember 4 or 5.
In one?
Yeah, very small.
One cell. And then the toilet is there as well?
No toilet. They give you, the rice container? Got big or small rice container. They give you a small rice container. So everybody will have one rice container. And then everything is there.
Then you have to clear it yourself as well.
Every day they will let you out for two times to go and clear the container lah.
And then you bring it back again.
Yeah, bring it back.
So when you do all that, was it like, wow, like why am I doing this? That sort of feeling.
I never asked myself at that point of time. I'm a person that just go through the motion. I already hear it. So there is nothing much I can do about it, right? So I might as well just don't think so much.
Did you ever feel like, especially like when your dad passed away and things like that, did you ever feel suicidal?
Never.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And we saw in a TikTok video that you said that you were attacked by ants.
Yeah.
And things like that. Was it quite jialat for you there?
Wow. Quite bad like, because my feet was like rotting. So I woke up to like a tingling sensation and on my feet. I see like thousands of ants like just crawling around my wounds. So there is no other way than to take a cup and then just pour over all the ants. Then just sweep the ants away.
You didn't see like a doctor? Like they
refused to give me antibiotics at first. The nurse inside quite stingy one lah. This one cannot, that one cannot. I couldn't walk really leh. The one of the guys had to piggyback me all the way to we call it Baba. The nurse, like the head nurse, staff nurse. He still don't give me antibiotic. He just give me cream. The cream is useless. Couldn't help it also.
I see.
Yeah.
So like at RTC, right? Like from the time you wake up till you go to bed, what is it that you all do? Because you're supposed to be reformative trained.
Okay, RTC got drills. So you have to do a bit of marching and things like that. So the rest of the time is spent inside the cell. 23 hours in the cell. So you 1 hour of like marching, running, jogging, whatever lah. But I was quite lucky because I was transferred to prison school quite fast.
I see. And that's where you did your O-levels.
Correct.
Right. And your O-levels results are a lot better than a lot of us here.
Because nothing to do everyday study. Yeah.
So why didn't you want to maybe continue on to...
I did want to continue. I got into business admin in Ngee Ann.
Wow.
But then at that point of time I was still serving NS. The manpower officer refused to defer my NS. She wants me to continue serving.
Then
so I cannot disrupt to go and study then come back lah. I say I don't want to study already lah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you go back to school now? I mean, you still have your O-levels.
No lah. Quite tiring already lah.
So, okay, one question is, you obviously hate prison.
Of course.
Yeah, then why do you keep going back?
So I'm a person who don't really consider consequences.
Are you still like that?
No more lah. My daughter told me, said that you go in and sit one more time, right? I'm not talking to you anymore. Yeah.
You mentioned like in your TikTok video that your father's death didn't change your life.
Yeah.
So what did?
For the large part of my life, I never reflected on anything I do. One fine day, I just, inside the cell, was thinking, I said that why I treat my kids like that. My kids are growing up and I don't want to disappoint them anymore. Because for a large part of their life, I think my daughter was really affected. My son was too young to understand, my youngest son.
How old is your daughter?
Now. 14.
14. And at that time, she must have been
about 7.
7 years.
Yeah.
And she understands that.
She understands.
Ah.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you cannot give, like when you keep going in and out and then you feel like you no money and your children look at you differently, right? Like they say, oh, dad don't have money and all that. Did that make you feel like, hey, I need to be better and I'm not a very good father or things like that?
I would say that I'm not a good father large part of my life. Even when I made it in real estate, right? I provided for the family, but it was more about myself. Every decision I make, right, is based on myself, not so much my kids. So it went on for like that for quite a while until the last incarceration I came out, right? Then it changed lah. There's a particular incident that until today I talk about it, right? I'm quite upset with myself. There is once, right, I was in this Sentosa hotel. I was on drugs already. So what happened is I brought them over, like staycation like that lah, with me lah. But I had $0 on me leh. So the next day, they woke up, I was still sleeping until late evening. They didn't eat anything leh.
Wow.
So when the drugs finished already, right, then I asked myself leh, I said that, hey, actually what am I doing? Why do I put my kids through that? For what? So until today, I very disgusted with myself. So that incident really changed my whole perspective about my life. Today, they tell me they want to eat anything, they want to buy anything, right? I don't negotiate at all. I just pay. Because they don't deserve it. They are my kids. Why do they deserve this kind of treatment? So nowadays, I stinge on myself, but I also feel happy because the joy of like being able to provide, being able to spend on them, things that money cannot buy. I mean, yeah, you use money to buy, but it's a different kind of joy.
Because you're providing for your children.
Yeah.
So when you were like in and out of prison, were you still married or?
I wasn't with my ex-wife for quite some time already. But the divorce was only finalized when I came out of my most recent prison term.
So what do you think like ended the marriage? Was it the drugs? Was it?
I would say that actually we quite incompatible one. We will quarrel 1 week a few times like that. Then she will lead her life, I will lead my life. We both cannot come into compromising. She wants her way, I want my way.
Or do you think it's also because you were always on drugs and stuff like that, you couldn't provide for the family? So that was that a reason for her?
Because when I provided for the family also, we were constantly quarreling. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What was your lowest point like throughout the time you were taking drugs where you felt like, wow, absolute crap? Like you said, why am I going through this? I need to change.
Just before I went in.
The last time, is it?
I was broke. My friend used to have this like e-com mart, something like that. Then he wanted to close it down already because the business not very good lah. So I will take whatever expires that he have and bring back home. So that is my breakfast, lunch, dinner. Expire also eat, never mind. Cigarette also don't have money to buy. When I got no money for all this, right, I will still have a friend. I will still go and borrow money from him to go and take the drugs. That point was the worst for me already. Because I know that I got no money and I still refuse to change. And I don't even have a proper job at that point of time.
How old were you at this time?
35 lah. Yeah. At 35 I still cannot find what I want to do at that point of time. So I actually approached a friend to ask him to help me to go back to real estate.
So when you were doing the real estate you mentioned, were you like quite successful at it, like doing well? Because
that was the earlier part, like 2009 to 2013 like that.
Now, what is your mindset? Like, what do you tell yourself, right? Wow, I cannot touch drugs anymore.
My kids, because you see, my dad didn't spend a lot of time with me. And then my dad last words was, he actually regretted that he did not spend enough time with me. So when I'm at my deathbed, right, when my kids said that, hey, you never spend enough time with me, then regret and things like that, I don't want. See, you ask me now, right, actually I cannot tell you anything about my dad.
You say it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. So as much as I love him, I don't have much to share about him also because he was like on and off in my life, never around. But for my kids, different. For my kids, I'm always around. Even when I'm on drugs, right, I'm around, but okay lah, maybe the soul somewhere else lah. A lot of people chase money while they work, then they keep a lot of money, but they are never at home with their kids one. But then when they old already, then suddenly they kena one illness and they think,
Too late
I want to
already,
spend my time with my kids, then gone already.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think, right, like your life would have been different if your parents played a different part in your life? Like, do you learn from their mistakes?
I think I will. Because when I was younger, actually I quite good boy one. But when I moved out of my auntie's house, that was when all the
Everything started.
problems started. Yeah.
So you think that will change?
I think having a complete family would have changed a lot of things. Because from young, I really felt very inferior. Like people got parents, I got no parents. People got this, I got no this. Then the mindset actually shifted. I want to belong to somewhere. I want to be the cool kid, you know.
That's why you joined the gang. So it's like one thing after another.
Correct. So if my parents were there in my life, right, I think I wouldn't be that bad. Yeah.
So now you want to learn from that and be a good parent to your
Correct.
children as well. Okay. So Shaun, now you are doing sort of like your own business. Can I say, like, you're doing delivery and stuff like that, taking care of your children. So I'm sure your life is very stressful now, right? Would you ever go back to drugs?
I wouldn't. Actually, it's not very stressful.
No.
Because delivery is a job that you don't have to use a lot of brain. Yeah.
But why you choose to do delivery? Why not like Grab or...
Because before I went in, I got trial alarm for a while. When I came out, I just went back to do what I'm familiar with.
So, like, did you ever feel like when you were looking for a job or anything like that, right? Like, did you ever feel like you were rejected by society? Like, oh, you're an ex-con, you're a drug addict, you know, that sort of thing. Like,
No, because most of my life, right, self-employed. Yeah.
But do you have like friends who went through that?
Honestly speaking, right, my group of friends, right, the only black sheep is me. So all my friends are doing quite well.
Now, we talk about your children, right? So they are all teenagers. Like the youngest is 11, 14. Is it?
All 3 years apart.
3 years apart. So, and 17.
Yeah.
Right. So now, if I were to ask you this question, right? Are you actually afraid, like when they're older? Because 17 soon sure have partners and stuff like that, or when they want to get married. Are you afraid of how their partners will look at them?
I don't think so, because I think this era quite different really lah. I marry the person for who he or she is not so much about who your father is and things like that. I may be an ex-con, but I don't project my problems to my kids. So whoever you marry the person lah.
So if one day, right, your children were to follow in your footsteps, how would you react?
I'll be very disappointed lah. I think one thing is that I talk to my kids very often about my life. So I tell them like okay, why I tell you not to do this? Because daddy, you've been through this before. So I will share my life experiences. I always explain to them why I do certain things. Because I know that the root of the problem is from here. So I want to correct it before it comes to that point of time that there is no return lah. I always give them a choice. And I will tell them like, hey, if you take this choice, you will get this sort of repercussions lah. So like my younger son, Chinese New Year, he like to gamble. So he, no limit one the fella. He can place $10 out there, $20. He primary school, you know. I say, can I bet $50? No? He can tell you this, no. I say that if you lose, all your ang pao money gone, then how you feel? Then I will start to tell him my story. Last time I used to go casino also. So I tell him, I say that I win, I want to go back. Because I think very easy to win ma. I lose, I will want to go and recoup the losses. So I just want to go ma. So when will this ever end?
Yeah, true.
Until all my money gone. So I say, you want to go back? You want to be like me? So I will use myself as an example to tell them why you should do this, why you should not do that.
What's the worst thing, right? Like your kids, they've seen you in and out. What's the worst thing they have said to you or done that made you feel very hurt?
So my nephew actually looks up to me. So he said, "Wow, Aku, you're a very good father, blah, blah, blah." You know what my son will tell him? He said, you go and ask him how many times he see it already. What a good father. But he's just like a joking manner lah. Yeah, all these things also actually make me think, say that, hey, why should I continue to be the old self when my kids are already talking about this. When they're young, they might not understand the seriousness of it. But now they talk about it, that means inside their heart somewhere, they actually feel it already, just that they never express it to me. Yeah, but my kids quite protective of me, one. Yeah. So I'm not so worried lah.
Yeah. As you said with your dad, you have like this love-hate relationship with them. Do you actually think that your children have that kind of relationship with you? Or like how did you build that bridge with them?
Of course, it takes a lot of time to actually build back this trust, especially my daughter. But I just do like what every father will do lah, try their best, no? Like me bring them out, then start to assure them that, hey, don't worry, Last time, daddy always got no money, but now daddy have, daddy can go and buy this for you, buy that for you. So you don't have to worry.
Do you think that now they have forgiven you and they completely trust you?
I think yes. But still got a bit of trauma. Sometimes they will wake up and they will be crying. They say that, daddy, I dreamt that you go back in again. Then my daughter said that I dreamt that I actually got hanged in prison. So she woke up crying, and then of course I assure her lah. I said that, hey, I'm not doing all these things already, so you don't worry. But I know that it's a trauma that I cannot erase.
Right. What is one thing that they have told you, right, that really like melted your heart? Like, wow, after this, I cannot touch drugs again.
They don't really say it to me. They say very cringe because now they
very cringe.
Now they're teenager.
Yeah.
So the
Gen
Father's
Z.
Day they'll write me a card lah.
Oh.
So everything is on the card lah. My younger son very sweet. He don't tell you all the I love you and things like that. But last year when I broke my ankle, right, doing soccer, Koko and Jesse will walk in front. Then he will walk. Then after that, suddenly he remember. He said, hey, my father leg broken. Then he U-turn, come back. He said, come daddy, I hold your hand. So all these small actions, I got keep in my heart one. I think after a certain age, I value all this more than other things. Kids and the people I love.
When at your lowest, right, if you were to think back, who was really there for you?
I think my cousins I got a cousin, same story as me. Parents also, from young don't have. We are like real brother and sister, just a different father only. Including my auntie lah, and my other auntie who took me in a different stage of life. All these people over these 10, 20 years, they have never given up on me.
If you can say something to them, what would that be? To everyone who supported you.
I want to thank them for actually staying by me for so many years. And of course, I'm sorry for disappointing them lah. But I'm also very thankful that they never give up on me. Yeah.
Now, if, like speaking of like advice to other users, for example, other drug addicts and all that, like what advice would you give them? Because it starts clearly at quite a young age, right? Like, I mean, of course, some of them may be older, but usually if you really think about it, it's like maybe they come from broken homes and things like that. What advice would you give them?
Don't start. I mean, I don't know which stage they are at now, but change doesn't come from anybody else. It has to come from you. If you want it to happen, then it will happen. Like for so many years I've been taking, right? If I were to do it for my kids, I also failed. But if for the younger generation, you start already, then I hope you U-turn soon, because your consumption will actually lead to trafficking. Obviously, you cannot afford to take every day. So you will actually resort to selling, then later you go and rob people, or you go and steal or whatever. This is how all the crimes all relate to one problem, drugs only.
Now, if you think back, right, you said the whole thing started when you took the drugs at 15 years old. Do you think your life would have been different if you had said no at that?
Yes. Because drugs give you a high that nothing else can give you. Alcohol or whatever, different one.
But the thing is, like, when you say it's a high, right, like, what are you trying to replace? Is it like a pain that you're trying to replace, or it's just you enjoy the high?
So like when my kids went back with their mom, right, wow, I was in the living room empty. So I really felt like really down, because I have been seeing them every day of my life when they are still staying with me lah. So all of a sudden everything was gone and I couldn't accept. So I went back to...
You spiral.
Yeah. Some people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to drugs. Alcohol still not so bad because it's legal. Drugs is a never-ending spiral one. You take more, then you start to behave in a different way. Then you start to affect the people around you.
Yeah. So would you say, like, they always say that when you say no to drugs, right? Of course, you say no to drugs, and that it affects not just the person taking the drugs. It affects the whole family. Would you agree?
Yes. Because you take drugs, you suffer your problem. But you're affecting everybody else at home also. You go in, then your family can come visit you. Then they have to live without an income because you're inside. Then your kids will be so traumatized by the whole experience. Until today, they still can dream of me going back to
having nightmares.
Yeah. So look at how this domino effect actually affected everyone around you.
So now, like, if I were to ask you, right, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned? Like, you did drugs since you were 15. You've been sober 4 years. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned?
I think number one is being contented. And number two is don't bother how people look at you. Very important. Because I think everybody is worried how one person or another person will look at you. The only people that I bother about how they look at me are my kids. These are the only people I need to impress. Actually, life is simple. You just need a few good friends, family. I think it's enough really. Because from my young experience, right, everybody left me. My dad, my mom. Until today, it affects me in a way whereby Sunday I send my kids home, right, I will feel a bit of like abandonment feeling. Like I feel very lousy when they go home. I don't know where this feeling came from, but I think it's from young. This feeling stemmed in me already. I definitely don't want to pass on this abandonment feeling to my kids. Yeah.
But what goals do you have now? Like, at least for the next 1 year?
1 year. I hope that I get more regular customers for my delivery service because I actually deliver for a few brands. So I got a regular job from them. One thing I'm very assured to say that I'm never late. And I'm really responsible.
And this is why the regulars keep coming back to you.
Yeah, correct. And I'm fast also.
Yeah, you're very prompt and deliver on time. Now, one last question, Shaun, before we go. Is there anything that you would like to say to your mom?
I have nothing to say to her, honestly, because I don't have feelings. Whatever life you're living now, then good luck to you.
Now, if maybe before we end this thing, right? If there's any advice you want to share to, people who have been in your situation, what would you say to support them, like, so that they don't go back to that life? Do you think it can be done?
It can be done. Definitely. Look at Simon Boy. So if you have a will, there's a way. That's why I say that the change has to come from yourself. If you focus on the right thing, of course, then you will have a right result. I think the main problem that a lot of ex-convict have is that before they release, they already think of going back to do whatever vices they are already wanting to do. But why we don't think that, hey, my mother is getting old already, so maybe I get a proper job, lead a very simple life. So all these things can lead to a better environment for them. But they don't want. They want to earn fast money. They want to earn good money. The cycle goes on. I will go back to my vices. Then I want to lead some life. So everybody look at me like I'm very successful. Yeah, that's why I say everything points back to how people look at you.
So the last time you came out, what did you do differently? Like, did you go back to that group of friends and things like that?
I never really do anything differently. But this time in the prison cell, I actually reflected in such a way whereby I tell myself I don't shortchange my kids anymore. I think they enough already lah. And I always think back like how a childhood I go through and then how a childhood they are going through now. So as a father, right, if I don't get things right, then the history will continue lah. And then next time they will pass this trauma to their kids will pass it on also.
You affect future generations.
Yeah, so I don't want already lah. I also scared already because although I never sit a long time lah, I sit all together about 4 years only. Did
you ever get tired of it?
The last time, 2019, I was so tired that I wanted the police to catch me. I was praying, I was hoping that the police will catch me. Because I don't have to walk into the station also.
You didn't want to turn yourself
in. But I was desperate to get caught already. I think I shared on my TikTok, so I saw my father. One day I was bathing, right? I was washing my hair, then I saw my dad right in front of me. I called him, then he walked away. Then I asked myself, hey, how come he died for 15, 20 years? I never see him before. Now I see him. Shortly after, I got caught already. Yeah. I think he also answered my prayers.
His way of helping you.
Yeah. I really needed to get caught. So this time I bothered to think. I think that I don't want to lead that kind of life anymore.
I see. All right. Thank you so much,
Welcome.
Shaun. Thank you so much for being here today on Open House. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Open House. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment on this episode and share it with everyone you know. And if you would like for us to explore other topics and invite other guests, please comment down below as well. You can also stay updated on our socials. Thank you.